So if these cash infusions work to reduce poverty in 2021, wouldn't more payments help reduce poverty this year too, and every year? That's the idea behind a universal basic income. Give Americans direct cash payments. Some advocates say give it to everyone, regardless of income.
What's up, you guys? It's Steve here, and we've been saying here on the channel that stimulus checks were coming back. Well, I've got some video footage you are not gonna wanna miss. They're gonna be diving into the details of a monthly reoccurring $2,000 stimulus check to go out to everybody in the nation. This is your breaking news stimulus check update and stimulus package update. Now, they're gonna be talking about the data that's involved, how this actually would be beneficial to the American people, how this would be paid for, and how we're hearing that 80% of Americans are saying we need more stimulus checks. They support more direct payments to people, and we're hearing about 2 out of 3 people are saying our economy right now, it's really bad. They are not happy with the way Biden is running our economy, and they're saying we need to get checks out to help out people through this time, especially after we just heard that confession yesterday. If you missed it, check it out right after this. I did a video for you. As Biden said, he confessed, things are beyond my control. I can't bring the prices down. We're going to try to figure things out. And you guys, people are saying, send out the checks. Now, this just came out. We're going to be taking a look at it. They're going to be talking to the former mayor of Stockton, who had their own universal basic income program that sent out monthly reoccurring checks. And the data, like I said, it might shock you. Now, you're going to want to watch this video all the way through. They're going to be covering all the details of monthly reoccurring checks. And we had heard, take a look, you guys, change.org, a petition for $2,000 monthly to help out people through the pandemic. Over 3 million people signed that, supporting it. Also, we'd heard this proposed by Pramila Jayapal and Rashida Tlaib, saying send out $2,000 payments to everybody, then just $1,000 a month throughout the pandemic, and even 1 year after it's done, to make sure people are covered, because right now people are hurting. They had promised $2,000 fourth checks, a $200 per month bump up to those on SSI, SSDI, more child tax credits. What about those unemployment benefits? All these unfulfilled promises. People are saying we need more help. Now, we had also seen this proposed in the Senate. Look at Senators Ed Markey and Elizabeth Warren had proposed $2,000 per month. No changes to anything, just $2,000 per month to go out to everybody. Now, they're going to be covering the concerns about inflation, about how is this going to be paid for, and all the details in this video. And please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, because I know a lot of people are saying we need fourth checks, but a lot of people are saying that's not good enough. We need monthly checks to go out because this has absolutely devastated the lives of people. It's not their fault that a pandemic hit and things have been destroyed, and they're just trying to get back on their feet. And now we've got all these promises, and almost a year later, nothing has been done. Let me know your thoughts, you guys, but let's take a look at the video footage and dive right in. But before we do, don't forget, do me a favor. If you appreciate the updates, smash that like button for me. Helps me out a ton with the YouTube algorithm. Leave your comments, share this out. If this is your first time here and you want to stay up to date, I'll keep you up to speed on all this stuff. We're hearing it's all coming back now as we're approaching midterm elections, and I'll let you know. Takes a second to join. All you got to do, totally free, is smash that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. If you got any specific questions for me, shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3. Consider joining my second channel, Steve Ram Finance, to learn about growing wealth and personal finance. So that way, when you get those checks, you can go ahead and try to use them to help out your family, but then also learn about investing and helping out people with everything going on, because our economy is changing rapidly, and you got to make sure you know what's happening. And also, keep an eye out for a comprehensive list we're working on, so that way you don't miss out on anything regarding stimulus checks on state, county, and city levels as well. That's right, we're hearing 90% of people that are eligible for additional checks don't know about it, and they're missing out. And I want to make sure that nobody in my viewing community here on the Ram Fam is in that 90%. I want to make sure you know about everything. So keep an eye out for that, a comprehensive list of all checks. But with that being said, you guys, let's take a look at this video footage. Watch it throughout. They're going to cover everything. Let me know your thoughts.
Americans are starting the summer worried about money, with almost 70% saying that the state of the U.S. economy is bad. President Biden addressed some concerns in a new Wall Street Journal op-ed this week titled, "My Plan for Fighting Inflation." Biden writes the job market is the strongest since the post-World War II era, with over 8 million new jobs, the fastest decline in unemployment on record, and millions of Americans getting jobs with better pay. And business investment, he says, is up 20%, and manufacturing jobs are growing at their fastest rate in 30 years. But it'll take more than op-eds to make Americans more confident about the economy. One thing Biden isn't talking about much right now, the direct payments that his administration made to Americans just last year, which is kind of surprising given how popular and effective they were. Nearly 4 in 5 voters supported the Biden administration's $1,400 payments last year. When you add up all the payments from the pandemic relief, most adult Americans got around $3,000. And starting in July of last year, the child tax credit sent a minimum of $250 to families every month. According to research from Columbia University, this resulted in the lowest poverty rate on record. Both child poverty and poverty among black people decreased by nearly half. And remember, that's during a pandemic that decimated the economy just a year before. So if these cash infusions work to reduce poverty in 2021, wouldn't more payments help reduce poverty this year too, and every year? That's the idea behind a universal basic income. Give Americans direct cash payments. Some advocates say give it to everyone, regardless of income. Cities like Stockton, California have piloted basic income programs, sending qualified residents payments every month. How far can these programs be expanded? And are they really the key to alleviating poverty in America, or too utopian and too expensive an idea? My next guests have spent years making the case for a basic income, for a universal basic income in some cases, or UBI. Michael Tubbs is the former Democratic mayor of Stockton, California, who spearheaded a program to send payments to low-income residents. And Otis Rowley is senior vice president for U.S. equity and economic opportunity at the Rockefeller Foundation. Thank you both for joining me. Michael, let me start with you. You spearheaded the basic income project in Stockton. What was the outcome there? What happened? And who got the money? Not everyone, right?
Yeah, well, because we're doing a pilot, we weren't able to get to everyone, but we made sure that we had a representative sample that looked like the community. And what we saw was that the people spent money the way you and I and the viewers spent money on their kids, on maintenance, on car insurance, on groceries. We also saw that those who received the guaranteed income were 2 times more likely to go from part-time to full-time work than those who didn't, and 2 times less likely to be unemployed. We also saw significant mental health impacts comparable to clinical trials of Prozac. So it's really interesting that, especially given the stat you raised, that in 2021, we had the lowest poverty rate on record during a pandemic, because we gave people a little bit of an income floor, that we're still having this conversation. We know what the data shows, that people need cash to get to work. People need cash for all types of health outcomes. And now it's just continuing to build the political will to do that.
Otis, critics, of course, say that if you send people free money, they won't want to work. What is your response to that common criticism of basic income programs?
Well, first and foremost, I was going to say, the Rockefeller Foundation is a private foundation. We are nonpartisan, and we are led by data and science. And I really appreciate that you led the conversation today with the data that show that Biden's plan is the funds that came into Americans' pocketbooks and wallets. It was actually spent in a way that secured economic security, right? It really created opportunity for folks to have the wiggle room. The U.S. Equity and Economic Opportunity Initiative that I lead at the foundation is focused in on low-wage workers and how do we really kind of create more economic security and mobility. And we know that the data tells us, thanks to pilots or Mayor Tubbs and others, the data shows us, right, that if folks have more cash, surprise, surprise, they're making the right decisions. We don't have to be paternalistic in terms of how the money should be spent, because folks have the financial wherewithal, once they have those dollars, to make the right decisions for them and for their families. So we saw that with the stimulus funds. We see that with the guaranteed income. And so I try to just dispel the misinformation with facts. And the data shows us the facts are solid and clear that if we infuse this capital into the pocketbooks and wallets of Americans, that they are going to make the right decision, and it actually creates more economic security and wiggle room for economic mobility.
Michael, it's a bold idea, and we have a Democratic Party that's not known for pushing bold ideas. Sorry to be blunt about your political party. What do you make of the Biden administration's handling of the economy right now, broadly, not just basic income, not just checks, but the kind of bold ideas that are going to lift people out of poverty, that are going to transform people's lives, and are going to get people to the polls?
Yeah, no, I think we have to remember the context in which they came in. That much of the things we're seeing now in the economy, particularly as it pertains to inflation, and shipping issues are because of the tariffs of the last administration. And that I think, given that context, given the pandemic, no one's perfect, but the Biden administration has tried and has done a lot to increase infrastructure spending, but also the child tax credit. It wasn't that the president didn't want to get it done. The president literally went on TV and said, this is my top priority. The issue is that there's a senator in West Virginia who fell prey to the tropes and the stereotypes that so many people do about why people are poor and why people spend money. So, of course, there's room for improvement, but I think we can't lose sight of the fact that the president on most things have been very forthright about what he wants to see. And it's really about getting Congress and the Senate, and particularly one senator from West Virginia or a whole other 40-plus senators that are Republican to also get on board with an agenda that's good for all Americans, because not just Democrats who need money. The majority of Americans don't have enough money for one emergency, and that should be something that gets bipartisan support.
We are very familiar with the blocking tactics of the senator from West Virginia on this show. Otis, let me ask you this. Joe Biden was bragging about deficit reduction recently as one of his big, economic victories, which personally I think is a mistake. It's a Republican talking point. You're from a think tank that's not Republican or Democrats. Let me just ask you the practical question that's associated with a lot of this rhetoric. When people are talking about balancing the budget and deficit reduction, and someone like yourself or Michael comes along and says, give people money directly, basic income, the comeback in DC in particular is, how are we going to pay for it?
We will pay for it in the way that we have always paid for it, in terms of our tax revenues are our dollars coming back to us to help to ensure that we are competitive and secure. And I do feel, I know a lot of this conversation today is about Biden and at the national level, but I do feel like all politics are local, right? And the leadership that Mayor Tubbs showed, the leadership that we often see is often at the local level, and it builds itself up. We are investing in 12 places through our Rockefeller Opportunity Collective with mayors and county execs who, like Mayor Tubbs, are at the vanguard. They are the tip of the spear in terms of looking for innovation. They are bipartisan. We have Republican and Democratic mayors and county execs who are leaders and recognize that if we're going to do something, it has to be now. Right. And that our dollars are best spent on us in a way that really creates real security and mobility. And I know that when you think about those populations that have been hardest hit, not just through COVID, but historically, they are Black, they are Latinx, they are indigenous folks. And we saw in those stats that you talked about at the very beginning of the show, that those populations were positively affected by the stimulus dollars. And we know through the work of Mayor Tubbs and others in other cities, we're seeing that 7 of our 12 cities, we have mayors that are doing this guaranteed income, not because they think it's a good idea, but because the data shows that it's a good idea. And they want to do what's in the best interest of their population. And I pray and hope that the state and national level, they will follow the leadership that these mayors are stepping up and moving forward in terms of putting their people first.
So there you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below on monthly reoccurring checks. Maybe it doesn't have to be universal basic income forever, but just throughout the pandemic. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Or do you think that would even worsen inflation, destroy our economy? I know there's different arguments on both sides about this. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. And if you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, smash that like button. Helps me out a ton. Thank you so much. If you want to stay up to date, it's totally free. Why not? Come join the Ram fam. Hit the subscribe button. Turn on the notification bell. Any specific questions, shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3. Consider joining my second channel, Steve Ram Finance, to learn about growing wealth and personal finance. And keep an eye out for that comprehensive list of all checks on all levels. But with that being said, you guys, as always, thank you for joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. I'll keep you up to date on everything. This is Steve.